why do you think that Berlin is like the mecca of electronic music? That's at least how some people call it.
Yeah. Maybe because, like, when I explained a little bit the origins, when like Detroit techno and Chicago house came to Frankfurt.
He could have stayed there, right?
Yeah, but also there was already like a connection between Frankfurt and Berlin, as far as I know. I mean, I wasn't there or too young at this point, but there are quite a lot of good documentaries on YouTube about this era. I
need to remember at the end to ask you to send me these documentaries because I want to watch them.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are in German, but maybe you can put subtitles. But anyways, at that time, around the time when the wall came down in Berlin, I think it was really one of the aspects was that there was just so much space in East Berlin, so much space for people to make a rave, and nobody really cared. So this culture of but
there was like a need already of having a rave.
I mean, a need. Maybe again, I wasn't there, but I would imagine maybe need is too much of a word, but a growing interest of certain smaller groups to have a rave, and there they found the right conditions to do it, to let it develop to a stage where then actually at some point there was a need. So the need came later. And then the need came, and then also there was even more space. For example, like the Berghain spot, or the old Ostgut spot before, or the Rechenzentrum. Or, also Watergate existed for a long time. But I think that one of the biggest aspects was, first of all, the space that was in Berlin, and that it was at the same time already a world famous city in terms of just the history it has, and this unique situation of being divided for many years between West and East. And already that was just a unique situation, also always connected to also danger, maybe there's a parallel into what your story when you were also a little bit were drawn towards
attracted,
attracted not to danger itself, but to the mysterious aspects. And even me, when I moved to Berlin in 2009, even there, especially also around this area where we are here right now at Holzmarkt, this whole area looked completely different. There was no, what's it called now? Uber Arena? That was all a wasteland, even 2009, and all those wasteland areas and abandoned industrial buildings had a certain mysterious beauty to them, and I think this aesthetic of also like brutalist buildings, black and white, darker atmospheres, architectural styles from different eras were always connected to this also sometimes very brutalist idea of techno, very straightforward, straight to the point, machinesque, like physical, but also emotive. And I think those things merged together, and then within a couple of years in Berlin, a whole industry came together, and it went, I think, extremely fast. Look at the Love Parade. This happened within a couple of years, that this small idea of hosting raves in abandoned buildings became a multi-million people movement And I think Berlin just was the perfect spot for the right time to make this happen. You know, also the idea of the Love Parade to have a reunion, also to have a reunion party of East and West. It was kind of the end of the Cold War, and I think there wouldn't have been any other place, and from that accumulation, the industry just developed and had its ups and downs, and as we said, after the big rise of commercialization at the end of the 90s, it kept developing in the underground. It was already much more established with like proper clubs and stuff, not just like illegal rave in abandoned warehouses. And with this infrastructure that now was a bit more professional, the industry blossomed into many directions, you know, and suddenly Berlin became this destination for rave tourists. There's a really good book that I can recommend you. I think it's also already translated into English by Tobias Rapp. It's called Lost in Sound.
Okay.
That explains exactly this era. I just recently took it out of the bookshelf and looked into it a little bit. I read it years ago. But it's if you are really interested in that era, then you should read that book. And from there, the whole thing got another huge push, you know, during the 2010s until the pandemic. I think Berlin was the center. Maybe it still is, but I think it might still be, but it definitely, even let's say from 2014 when you were here the first time until now, like 11 years, Berlin changed again very drastically. Not just the electronic music landscape in Berlin, but also Berlin itself, because of the whole development of the city in terms of the construction of new buildings, especially in the east part of Berlin, and the gentrification and everything. From that period, everything kept growing into like a pretty well-oiled machine, I would say, that spread all over the globe.
Yeah.
Started a whole electronic music movement. I don't know when Bar Americas opened, but I could imagine that also within this wave, Bar Americas, for example, opened, and so did many other venues in the whole world. And then this club culture kind of swapped into festival culture. And then before the pandemic, I think at 2018, 2019, we probably were at an all-time high in terms of electronic music festivals worldwide. And I think it did not recover yet since the pandemic. It never reached, from what I know, I don't have the exact numbers, but from what I heard from promoters and festival organizers, it never came back to that amount, which is a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But it's just, I think, the number, that's, I think, how it is. And
I wonder if it's not only Berlin, maybe it's also like a global phenomena where not all the cities have recovered from the pandemic, or if it's just Berlin that lost some of its strength.
I think that's a different topic, the city itself, but the electronic music scene in general,
it's not fully recovered.
I think there was a 1 or 2 years that kind of were like, we have to make it up years.
Yeah.
So a lot of festivals were like repeated, or like that were postponed, had to be rescheduled, and then were like organized and redone.
Like an inertia of, we already invested the money, we have to make it happen.
Yeah. But then again, you know, times changed, economical situations changed also for people. Inflation got up, global conflicts came, and, you know, a little bit of like an upsteer in general in society. And I think it's safe to say that this year there is less events happening in general.
Okay.
And also from what I hear, also less people going to the events also.
Okay.
So Maybe now we are a little bit behind the latest peak of.
Okay, I guess that maybe at some point it's going to recover because, I mean, I can't imagine a world where we can't go back to the top. Maybe those were the best days in history. Who knows? But I think that at least I feel that there's still a need and that people still want to go to raves. It's just that it's different, right?
There's definitely still the need, and there's also the option to do it. But I think it's also healthy to have a up and down development.
Okay, yeah. Not just up.
Exactly. It's. I wouldn't say that it's only bad that we now have a little bit different times in terms of entertainment industry. You have to look at also the individual cases.
Yeah.
There are artists that have the best times of their lives at the moment, out of certain reasons, and others are struggling more than ever, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's always an individual case. But also once again, back to your story, your experience in Bar Americas. As you, like I said, you described it so well, this feeling that also connected me to the scene, stepping into a club like this, feeling the mysterious vibe, kind of physically experiencing this opening of this new universe that you didn't discover before, I think maybe for our culture and for our scene, maybe to maintain places that offer this experience to people is the most important thing. That's probably the one most important thing, to have this safe and open space for people to go to and experience what you described.
When you say this safe and open space, are you referring to people trying different experience, like, for example, drugs?
Whatever it is.
Do you think it's...
As long as it's nothing in terms of like violently to each other, where
like
people hurt each other. Look at a place like Berghain.
Do you think we need that?
That's probably the definition of a safe space. It has been for at least, let's say, since it opened. I would say that's kind of their main goal. What they want to be. Also, they want to be a space for groups that can't really, maybe sometimes even live their normal life as they would like to. And that's a safe space where they can go to and do it. And all these aspects add to this mysterious vibe, And in the best case, the music is the glue,
Yes.
And
you go there for the music, but then there are all these things that come together around it.
It doesn't have to be only about the music.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm the nerdy guy in 2008 who was there the first time and was completely stunned by the music. But I was also stunned by the atmosphere. And the atmosphere was made by many factors,
exactly.
that play a role in this place. And for me, the glue of the glue material, which my personal point of view is the music, was the one that I got hooked with, and
totally. But do you think that these safe spaces that allow people to do things that they wouldn't do in their everyday lives are helpful for society? Do you think that we need that as a society? Because they're also controversial. Don't you think so?
Maybe they are controversial for some people, but suppression, when it reaches a certain level, I would say is not a good idea.
So you think that removing this suppression by allowing those things to happen
within certain rules, of course. I mean, I'm not talking about anarchy.
Of course, but like respecting each other. If you respect each other, do whatever the hell you want in this safe place. Do you think that's better than if you didn't have it?
Yeah.
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 And that, I think that is a very interesting thing, because in Germany, I think people would think that, yeah, maybe not all of them would agree with you. Some of them would agree with you.
Yeah.
But if you say that to someone in Mexico, it's like, I mean, we're a very conservative and Catholic country. So, like, if I would tell my mom what's happening in those places, she would be like, those places are for the devil. Those are not okay places, you know. Maybe I shouldn't put my mom in here because I love my my mom, but like
you can cut it out.
Yeah, random people in Mexico. If you show them what's going on in there, I think they would be like, don't go to those places.
But I think the same in Germany. You know, if you have bad luck and you talk to somebody on the street, this person will also say, hell no, that's not a good idea. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
Maybe in Mexico as well, you know, of course. I mean, but that's why we also live in democracy, that we have to kind of accept things maybe sometimes we don't really agree with, but we have to find a consensus, you know.
But like, for example, we have laws, and I think that some of the things that happen in those places go beyond the law, right? Just by the simple fact of, I don't know if it's legal or not here in Germany.
I don't know. I have no idea what people do in toilets in Berghain. I have no idea about that.
Well, I don't mean
if that's illegal or not, what they do inside, I have no idea.
I know that in Berghain they don't do anything, but in other places, exactly. I've seen in other places where they do stuff, and I'm like, they're doing their thing, they're having fun. It's better for them to do it here. But I can also see the other side of the coin, where you say, oh, those are scary places. It's all dark. This music is for the devil, and I just think it's funny to see that there's two different perspectives.
Yeah, I mean,
and in my case, I think it's good. I think it's good, and I think those places are really cool because you can also use them if you do it responsibly.
Yeah, and it's also what us, you and me, drew us there towards. You know, like it's part of the
curiosity.
Not just curiosity, but part of the vibe, part of the whole hedonistic experience. And anybody who says that techno music doesn't have to do anything with hedonism, I would say that maybe didn't completely think that topic through yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it comes from.
Yes.
And in Germany, luckily, we still can kind of live that in a pretty free way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, totally. I probably also wouldn't have had the opportunity to just get my music out and have shows in Berlin, also at Panorama Bar, and you know, many other places around the world. If this culture wouldn't have a chance to survive because of suppression, then the whole thing wouldn't work.
Totally. I totally understand that point, and I agree with it.